Oh, we got another animated film out in theaters? That's exciting. Okay, what movie are we reviewing this week? Oh, Despicable Me 4. Oh, boy. So if you guys don't know my feelings and emotions towards the Despicable Me franchise, let me sum it up for you real quick. I'm not a fan. I don't think they're awful. I don't think they're terrible. I'm just so indifferent towards them. I feel nothing when I look at these characters and I see these movies. I don't feel joy. I don't feel anger. I just feel bored. And I don't really get the hype around these movies. I know that a lot of people love them. They are some of the highest grossing animated films ever. I'm sorry. I just don't get it. But I always want to give series and franchises a new shot, because I will say, I didn't hate Rise of Gru. I still didn't love it, but I liked it more than almost all the other ones. So I wanted to come give Despicable Me for a try, and yeah, I got about what I expected. My bet is if you love the other Despicable Me films, you're gonna love this one. It's just really more of the same. There's not really a whole lot new or different here. In fact, you could argue they full-on just recycled plot points from earlier films, but we'll get into that when we get there. But yeah, I was in a theater full of kids and adults, and they were all having a great time, laughing and just enjoying themselves, and the theater was very boisterous, like in a good way, so I'm assuming people loved it. I don't know what it is about Despicable Me, I just don't get it. I want to get it, I want to be in on it, because these movies seem cute and fun, but every time I watch them, I'm like, I don't see the cute and I don't see the fun. Where is it? Where is it hiding? So yeah, if you're looking for someone to give this a glowing review because you had a lot of fun with it, this is probably not the video to watch. But if you're curious my thoughts on it, then stick around. I'm happy to share them with you. I thought when I first started watching this, I thought maybe this was going to be the Despicable Me to change my mind. Like when we started watching it, there is this intro scene, you can see part of it in the trailers, where like he drives up in that super cool car, and like this whole thing goes down where he has like an altercation in the past with our villain of the movie, and they end up their altercation with Gru kind of being scared and going like, oh, this got more serious than I realized. And I thought, oh, are we gonna have a whole movie with Gru like getting over his fears about this one villain who's just extra bad? That could be really interesting, that could be really fun, and it went nowhere. They basically had that scene just so that when Lucy and Gru and all them go into hiding, it makes sense, because you're like, he goes after villains all the time. Why is this one different? And yeah, it spooked him that one time. Also, word of caution for everybody, if you have an issue with cockroaches, be prepared. You're gonna see a ton of cockroaches in this movie. That's like what the main villain's like shtick is he's a cockroach guy. So, now granted, all the cockroaches are very cute and cartoony, but, you know, I know for some people, cockroach is a cockroach no matter how cute, so, you know, do with that information what you will. Overall, I just kind of felt like it was the characters just doing their same shtick. You know, the minions are still being the minions. They made me laugh once or twice, but not a lot. And the whole turning them into superheroes thing felt very late. Like, that should have happened in what? Despicable Me 2 or 3? Why 4? Right now, people are feeling so much superhero fatigue, and I think they kind of made a joke reference about that for like a single line, which I kind of appreciated. But I don't know, it felt very much like that didn't need to be there, and there wasn't a lot of payoff to it. But once again, what did I expect? It's Despicable Me. This is all par for the course with them. And I mentioned earlier there was like a plot point that felt jacked out of another movie, and yeah, that was definitely in the third movie. We had this whole thing about Drew really wanting to go do a heist, so he like talks Gru into doing it even though he doesn't want to do that stuff anymore. And here we have it again, except it's not Drew, it's some random kid who now wants him to do this because she wants to go be a villain. So we've had that same plot point twice now. I feel like ever since the second movie where you had to take the bite out of Gru since he's not technically a villain anymore, I feel like the films are really struggling to like let Gru like have his own character because he was so wrapped up in being a villain. That's like how people still see him, even though films are like, well, we can't let him be a villain because he's not a villain anymore, but we want him to still do villainous things. So, you know, I guess force him to do this against his will? Once again, I felt the girls were really underutilized, as they are in every single movie that's not the first one. Like, they had scenes and they had moments, but not many. And the times they did have moments and scenes, you know, it was very low impact. It didn't really do much. They're just kind of there because they're like, well, we had to keep them from the first movie, so that's what we're going to do. Obviously, because they now have the baby gets the most screen time, and, you know, even then, I didn't care about this baby, although it was fun to see Gru get hurt a couple times. I will give the movie that. But the girls desperately need more to do, and they need to be more involved with the plots. I don't know why they're not. They are just sitting there waiting to be utilized, and nobody ever uses them, and they are by far the best element of these movies, and they don't get used. I don't get it. Because, like, Margot has a whole thing in this where because they have to go in hiding, she has to go to a new school. We never see her at school. We never see what she's dealing with. All we see is her get dropped off, and we see her get picked up. And we can see when she got picked up, she had a rough day. But we never see her in school. We never see what that looks like. We never see what she deals with. We just get told she had a rough day and she wants to go home. It would have been fun to see those things happen. It would have been more engaging for us to be there with her when these happened. She felt very thrown to the sidelines. And Edith and Agnes, pretty much the same thing. They have one scene where they go to karate together. And it's fine, but I don't know. There's not much there. And, like, Agnes's whole thing is that, you know, she misses her goat. And that's it. I'm struggling to find anything else that these girls do throughout the entire movie. The only other thing I could think of is this time at the grocery store, but even then, that's mainly a Lucy thing. They just happen to be there. I honestly think that the neighbors that we meet in this movie get more screen time and more attention than the girls. And that's sad. I get that the girls were going to lose some screen time because we have the new baby, but why are we putting so much attention on these neighbors? They're not fun characters. I don't like them. I don't want to see them anymore. That one instance where Gru met them at the beginning was kind of funny. It's one of the few times I laughed. But then after that, they shouldn't have come back. I think it would have been funnier if they never showed up again. And I will say two things that I actually really did appreciate from this film. Number one, the hairdresser Karen chase in the grocery store. I actually liked that scene, not because of anything Lucy or the girls did, but just because this Karen was like machine levels of determined to get Lucy. That was actually kind of funny. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Dubois from Madagascar 3 to a more minor extreme. Dubois is definitely better and more crazy, but she has elements of her craziness, which I must admit was entertaining to watch. And the second is, they did not advertise this film saying like, all the villains are here, Gru has to face off against all his villains, because technically every villain from every Despicable Me and Minions movie is in this movie, but it's basically a cameo. So I'm glad they didn't draw attention to it, although they absolutely could have, and I wouldn't put it past their marketing team. So I applaud for restraint. So yeah, I've said about everything that I've wanted to say about this movie. It's the same as Despicable 2 and 3 and Minions and all that. So yeah, I have the same problems with this I have with all the other movies. So yeah, if you love them, you're probably going to enjoy this. If you don't love them, this ain't going to change your mind. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!